psychology. Imagine, ancient Greece, the 4th century before Common Era. Aristotle, Plato, Socrates, names everyone knows. But beside them stood a man whose ideas influenced science far more than we realize. His name, Theophrastus of Eresus. A student of Aristotle, successor to his school, and essentially the world's first botanist. Why does no one talk about him? And why do his works remain overshadowed by the greats? Let's figure it out. Theophrastus was born on the island of Lesbos around 371 before Common Era. His real name was Tertimus. He was later called the Theophrastus, divine speaker. And for good reason. His ability to explain complex things in simple terms impressed even his critics. When Aristotle fled Athens, it was Theophrastus who took over the Lyceum, the famous peripatetic school. Under his leadership, it became a true scientific hub. But the key was his powers of observation. While other philosophers debated the nature of the soul or abstract ideas, Theophrastus dug in the dirt. Literally. His work Inquiry into Plants, the first systematic study of botany in history. He meticulously described over 500 species, studying their growth, reproduction, and even diseases. Yes, he was the first phytopathologist. He also classified plants into trees, shrubs, and herbs, laying the groundwork for taxonomy. But that's not all. His book Characters, 30 brief sketches of human types. The flatterer, the chatterbox, the miser, the braggart. Essentially, the first attempt at personality psychology. He didn't just mock vices. He analyzed how they manifested in behavior. Modern scholars see in this the seeds of social psychology. So why was he forgotten? Some of Theophrastus' works were lost, others dissolved into his students' writings. Aristotle's fame eclipsed him. But without Theophrastus, there would be no botany as a science, nor many philosophical ideas. He proved, to change the world sometimes all you need to do is take a closer look at a blade of grass or your neighbor. So next time you pass by plants or notice someone's odd habits, remember that about 2,300 years ago, a Greek man already had an explanation for it. Maybe the answers to questions we're only beginning to ask are hidden in his forgotten texts. Theophrastus, father of botany. His major scientific work, Historia Plantarum, Inquiry into Plants, was the world's first encyclopedia of the plant kingdom. 9 books where he describes plant structure, reproduction, and even practical uses. He was the first to divide plants into 4 categories. Trees, shrubs, subshrubs, and herbs. Describe seed germination and the influence of climate on growth. Note the differences between monocots and dicots, though he didn't use those terms. Study plant diseases, essentially founding phytopathology. But the most astonishing thing, his approach. He didn't just classify. He analyzed plants like a true scientist. For example, he asked, why do some trees lose leaves while others don't? How does sap move through a trunk? His methods anticipated experimental botany by thousands of years. The first psychologist. If Inquiry into Plants was a scientific treatise, Characters was a masterpiece of observational psychology. In this work, Theophrastus describes 30 personality types, each embodying a specific trait. The hypocrite, who flatters to your face but slanders behind your back. The chatterbox, who never lets others get a word in. The miser, who turns off the lights even when hosting guests. This wasn't just satire, it was deep behavioral analysis. Theophrastus didn't judge. He documented social patterns. Essentially, he created the first typology of personality, long before Freud and Jung. Why isn't Theophrastus as famous as Aristotle? Lost works. Most of his writings, including works on physics, metaphysics, and ethics, didn't survive. Aristotle's shadow. Medieval scholars quoted Aristotle more, and botany was long considered a secondary science. Irony of fate. Characters became popular but was often seen as entertainment rather than scholarship. A legacy that lives on. And yet, Theophrastus' influence is immense. Botany. His works were studied in the Middle Ages, and Linnaeus referenced him when creating his own classification. Ecology. Characters influenced French moralists and even modern personality research. Methodology. He showed that science isn't just abstract theories, it's also attention to detail. Theophrastus proved, sometimes the greatest discoveries aren't born in grand debates but in quiet observation of the world. And if not for history's twists, today we might speak not of Aristotelian logic, but of Theophrastian botany. So who was Theophrastus? A brilliant scholar lost in Aristotle's shadow, the first botanist whose ideas were ahead of their time, or a philosopher who showed that even the most mundane things, a blade of grass by the road or a neighbor's odd habit, are worthy of study. Perhaps all of the above. Theophrastus didn't seek fame. He didn't argue with rulers or write manifestos. He simply observed, recorded, analyzed, and in that lay his genius. He turned ordinary plants into a scientific subject and human quirks into food for thought. And though his name is less known today than Plato's or Aristotle's, without him, our understanding of the world would be incomplete. Next time you see a psychology book or a botany guide, remember, it all started with one curious Greek who lived about 2,300 years ago and decided that even the simplest things deserve attention. What do you think? Why do some geniuses remain in history's shadows? Could there be other forgotten figures who changed the world but never got recognition? Write in the comments. Let's discuss. If you're interested in stories of underappreciated scientists, hit like and subscribe. More amazing discoveries ahead.